Hey, hello everybody. I just want to welcome you guys to our Around the Town series here. In each episode, we're going to be um, sitting down with local realtors from across the US to highlight cities they live in, they love, and specialize in. We're going to explore what makes each town unique, from like neighborhoods to local hotspots, awesome restaurants, and real estate trends. It's a fun conversational way to introduce you guys to new communities while also spotlighting the incredible agents who really know them best. So, whether you're thinking about moving, exploring new areas, or you just love discovering hidden gems around the US, this series will give you an insider look to what makes each town special. So, let's meet today's guest. She's been in real estate for the past 4.5 years, and I had the pleasure of meeting her at a recent convention that Keller Williams did. So, she's been with Keller Williams that entire time, and she's built a really strong business. So she recently hired her first full-time operations manager. She also serves on the Agent Leadership Council, and she was the number one solo agent in her market center last year, which is an awesome accomplishment. While she works with all types of clients, she really has a special place in her heart for first-time buyers and also move-up buyers, guiding them through some of the biggest transitions of their lives. Outside of real estate, her life is full of fun and adventure. She just got married last year, so congratulations. She recently brought a new puppy home, and she just returned from an amazing trip to New Zealand. And while she's not helping clients, you can usually find her watching sports, lamenting fantasy football scores, which would fit in right at our house with our boys and my husband, or out on the field coaching Little League softball, which is her absolute favorite thing to do. So please welcome Yvonne Drabin from Reno, Nevada.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're so excited you're here today. So I guess let's start off with, if I were visiting Reno for the first time, what's one landmark or like Instagram worthy place that I have to see?
Well, I might have it as my background, but I love the Reno sign. It's like right in the heart of downtown. The Truckee River is just like a 2-minute walk from it. And so, when I still drive by this sign, I get excited and it makes me happy. So the Reno sign and kind of just that surrounding downtown area is so beautiful on the waterfront there.
Fun, fun, fun. Okay, and then what's something you would say is unique to your area, like festival, market, any seasonal events, beaches, sports teams, things like that?
Yeah, I feel like there is so much to do here in Reno, and a lot of it is like free or low cost. So, for example, you might ask me about my favorite event here soon, but every September we've got the Reno Hot Air Balloon Festival. And in August, we have Hot August Nights, which is like a big car show. And there are these big iconic events like that just about all year. And so you can really like find your niche, find what you get excited about. In July here, it's called in Midtown, it's called Art Town, and it is just every day there are arts and music kind of events downtown or just spread throughout Reno, and they all tend to be pretty free or low cost. And so, like the term biggest little city is like very accurate that it is not a huge city, but there is so much to do in it. So
Oh, that's so fun. Have you been in a hot air balloon?
I have not been in one. No, you can like
Okay.
try to like win a ticket into it. I turn into like
Oh,
a 4-year-old child there. Like I just think it's magical. It's just such a cool, I mean, you're standing there and there's like 70-ish hot air balloons like all in your sight. And you're
oh,
standing like right next to some that are about to launch too. So
yeah.
just so many events like, excuse me, events like that to get excited about. So
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Love it.
yeah.
Okay. So what about nature? So we all know that being in nature is good for the soul, good for your mental health. So what about like nature? What nature things are there to do there?
Yeah, well, I think one of the reasons that people do move to Reno is like that kind of outdoorsy lifestyle. So first off, we're like surrounded by the Sierra Nevadas. And so even just driving into work today, the mountains started to be a little bit more snow-capped. And so it's very mountainous here, which is just so beautiful all year round. So a lot of local hiking trails. And then we've got the Truckee River flowing right through town too. And so whether that's floating on the river, or you're hiking in the mountains. And while it is very like deserty here too, you still can find that more forest green vibe in like the Galena Forest area in like South Reno and down towards Mount Rose. So to be able to just drive around town and like have a view of Mount Rose, which is an awesome ski resort, but just this beautiful mountain all the time is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's so pretty out to be around the
Yeah.
mountains. Do you ever see bears? So if anybody knows me, they know I'm like highly fascinated with bears. We've seen one, and I've even went bear hunting at Taylor Creek, trying to see them because they come out and they're
Cool.
like fishing in Tahoe. They're like not fishing, they're going for the salmon
Yeah.
that are,
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't seen any, but I have seen friends or clients that have been like, "Oh, first bear sighting." I had a client send me, he's in Carson City, and he was like, "Look at this front bear in my on my driveway, or this bear on my front driveway." But we do have a lot of wild horses. So,
Oh,
they're spread all throughout Reno, but we get a lot of wild horses, and in certain neighborhoods, they'll just be walking on the street. So it's not like everywhere, but if you don't know that and then you move into a neighborhood where seasonally they tend to come to, it can be surprising to get a little mountain
yeah.
deer
That
front
would be
lawn.
kind of cool to see. Are they friendly or you should leave them alone?
I think you should keep your distance, but by and large, when I talk to people in these neighborhoods, like people just enjoy them. Like it's kind of a unique thing. They don't cause like too much of a ruckus. So a
Yeah.
lot of times I'm just like on certain freeways, you'll see them kind of on the hillside and stuff too. So yeah.
Wow, that's a fun
Yeah.
thing. Okay, and then how would you describe like the feel of Reno in just a few words? What would you say that vibe is?
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna keep going back to the biggest little city because there's so much to do, and I feel like whatever your niche is or your community, you can find it here. So it does feel very small. I feel like I just like run into people I know downtown and in Midtown pretty easily. So it's a small like tight knit community overall. And yeah, I think a lot of times it's known for like casinos or being a little Vegas, which like really couldn't be any further from the truth. Now we have those, and if you want to go and enjoy them, they're there. But it is just so much more. Sometimes I forget that we have them other than on the beautiful skyline at dusk, you know, you can see them, but there's just so much like culture and life like outside of just the casinos. So
Okay, awesome. So there's like suburbia and then you have casinos and then like more mountainous homes, or how would
yeah, and you've
you?
got some neighborhoods where people are just biking right onto their mountain bike trails, you know, up in like the Northwest area and the Peavine Mountains. And um yeah, you can just I feel like you can find, you know, find your forest, find your desert area if you want to go live the downtown life, or more in the suburbs. You can really find, I think, your niche here.
Got it. Awesome. And then did you grow up in Reno or where did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I actually grew up in the Bay Area. So I grew up in Fremont. I went to school in Oregon and then I stayed there for years. Loved it there. And then moved here in 2018. So,
Okay.
um, one of the things I fell in love with as soon as I moved here was having like four distinct seasons. I feel like growing up in the Bay Area, it was like cloudy and 68 every day, which is cool in its own way. And then living in Oregon, it was great, very green, very rainy. And now I feel like as soon as I get tired of one season, it's like on to the next. And so there's always
Yeah.
that excitement of like right now it's getting really cold and I'm excited because I'm kind of over the summer heat. It's getting real cold now. And then by the time we're tired of that, it'll start to turn in the spring. So having four distinct seasons is, I think, a highly underrated climate.
Yes. I love that. And like you said, that change of season, you can look forward to it. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
always
fun.
like it keeps it fresh. It's not, you know, I think in Reno we have 300 sunny days a year, which is astounding. So even when it's freezing, it'll still be bright and sunny. And so you
Yeah.
get, I feel like you get more of the good, not, and you get snow, but not a ton. Like if you really want the snow, you can go to Truckee, you can go to Tahoe. So we get,
Yeah.
I think, the best parts of it, but we don't have to like live in it, you know, for weeks and weeks
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. So
So
fun.
yeah.
Okay, and then let's talk about the real estate market for anybody who's thinking of moving there or just considering. I know we have had people from the Sacramento area move there to retire because it's
Mm,
cheaper and different things with taxes. So,
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about the housing affordability and your take on that, or kind of what's going on with that currently.
Yeah, so I mean, affordability is the biggest challenge in any market. We do see a lot of people come over from California for that direct change in affordability. And that's in both like prices and cost of living, and then taxes being a big part of that. And so, like, our median sales price here is 600. That's kind of Reno Sparks combined. We tend to kind of speak to them as one. Reno's a little higher, Sparks is a little lower, but they're essentially like they're uh, right next to each other, overlap quite a bit. So, um, yeah, one of the biggest differences that makes Reno a lot more affordable compared to maybe our nearby neighbors in California is the way our property taxes are structured. It's more based on the age of the home. They're not reassessed every year on a new purchase price that keeps going higher and higher and higher. So a home built in the 60s could have as low as like 600 annual property taxes, maybe to 2000, which is a huge difference from how a lot of other states structure it. And
Yeah.
so, um,
And that's
yeah,
like
but you're,
regardless of the price of that. Like you go and you buy
yeah,
a home in 1960s, even if it's a $1 million house, your taxes might be 2 grand.
yeah. So, and I know those
Wow.
numbers offhand because I bought a home built in the 50s and the 60s, and my taxes on them were like 1100 annually. So,
Okay.
uh,
And sometimes
yeah,
when people move out of state, like Texas or different things,
yeah.
you say, oh, well, I'm leaving California because it's cheaper, but then there's other taxes that then make up for, what you're saving. So do you find that there's other things that say, yeah, well, the property taxes are low, but these other things are kind of, make up
That's
for the
such
difference
a
you're
good question
saving?
because it's property taxes are low and we have no state income tax. And I feel
Right.
like those two things are what people see and feel the benefits of the most, like in their day to day. They look at what do they get to take home at the end of the day. I'm sure it offsets somewhere. I don't know exactly where. There isn't at least anything that comes to mind that it's like, oh, but everything else here is so much more expensive. 'Cause I know what you're saying, but I hear it constantly from folks coming over of or maybe they're in the last couple of years of their career and they want to have their residence here in Nevada to kind of reap the
Right.
benefits of that if their employment allows for that. And so um, it really makes a huge impact. And I don't see it like directly offset in something else that's pretty
Yeah.
apparent. So if
Yeah.
you're like first time home buyer kind of in this market, you're probably looking, you can find homes in the high threes and whatnot. And I'm talking like single family homes. Sometimes manufactured homes might be in that mid to high threes, 300 price point. But you're really looking like 450 to 550, depending on size and whatnot. But
Yeah.
that's typically our kind of first time home buyer price point, with of course a ton of variability in there. So
Yeah, but that could be a great thing for people that are looking to start out. Because I think right now, a lot of people are talking about affordability and people who have, older kids that are in their 20s, it's like, well, they can't afford to buy. So sometimes
yeah,
it's about where can you start out and buy something that is, that's manageable for the payment. And then over time you can move houses. Because I think that's something where like you might not start out in the neighborhood you like desire to be in for the rest of your life, but if you don't start somewhere, then it's hard to build up that equity to then be able to
yeah.
move up. But that's great to know
And
those
we're seeing,
prices.
I mean, I'm sure you see it similarly in your market too, like the new build incentives. There's pros and cons to new builds. That's like a whole nother interview. But the new build incentives, like I had a client, actually we closed today. They come out of pocket less than $1,000, and the new build is paying their closing costs, bought their rate down to a 575. So they got their monthly payment. They barely came out of pocket. And I mean, they wanted to be in this neighborhood. It's a little further out of town. It works for their lifestyle. So there's opportunity. It's usually compromising on like one of your criteria, whether
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
size or location or yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the 5.75% buy down too, is that for the life of the loan? Not just a temporary buy down? Yeah. So there's deals to be had, listeners. I
Yeah.
mean, there's deals to be had in this market.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people think, oh, there's, I can't get a good price. We just negotiated a $45,000 price decrease for one of our clients, like
Yeah.
based on some, inspections and things, but like you just don't know until you ask. And if there's deals to be had. So that's awesome to see them just come
Yeah.
in, your clients with just $1,000. That's huge.
Yeah.
And then what would you say buying in your area right now? I guess there are some deals to be had. I'm sure there's some that, houses that are more competitive or might get multiple offers or things like that. But what does a winning offer look like right now in your market for the type of, the buyers that you're working with?
Yeah, I mean, homes are going for about like 95% to their like original asking price. And so I think a lot of it depends on how long has this home been on market. If it's, 40 days or more, of course, you have a lot more leverage. But in that lower price point, I'd say like under 500,000, we're still seeing like strong competition. And so being at least close to that asking price. And then a lot of times we're seeing a ton of contingent offers, so they have to sell their home in order to buy. So if you can be non-contingent and qualify for that home without having to be contingent on the sale of that other home. That makes a huge difference. I've had a lot of offers received on listings of mine that are contingent on the sale of their home. It's not even listed yet. Well, there's really no reason for a seller to risk take their home off the market while, you take your pictures, list the home, wait to get a buyer and all that. And so we're seeing just somebody being not contingent on the sale of another property, of course, go to the top of the list. Uh, and then a lot of buyers are asking for seller credits in order to buy down their interest rate. It's I would say over half of contracts I'm seeing, both like written for buyers and received as a seller's agent, have credits. And so getting really creative with how do we also still make sure the seller will take this offer. So sometimes we're going up a little bit in price and to offset that credit because that credit is going to be what gets them the monthly payment they need. But being really mindful of that, of how do we get a win-win with the seller with these credits being so crucial for our buyers. So there's a lot of nuance to that whole strategy that I love digging into, when buyers are struggling with affordability and they don't know about those options. But yeah, those are kind of the different factors that I see as helping a buyer be the most competitive.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And then do you have like a listing that you can share that you love?
Yeah, I'll share my newest listing that just went live. Pop back up here and I will share my screen.
And maybe like the address, kind of what you love about it, why it's a
Yeah,
great buy, or maybe anything that you can
let's,
highlight so people can know, hey, this is what you can get in Reno for this price right now.
yeah, so I have it's a 3-2, 1,570 square feet, listed at 450. So this has only been on the market 6 days. I actually got a call this morning about a potential offer. But this is in a neighborhood, so it's called Woodland Village, and it's out in the Cold Springs area of Reno, which is about a 20-minute drive out of like the main downtown Reno. So, and out in this neighborhood, like they have their own elementary school, they have their own middle school. There's like a restaurant in the middle of this neighborhood because you do have a bit of a drive, 10 to 15-minute drive to your, grocery store and stuff. And they're working on getting more out here because it's a little further removed. So let me actually put this on a map. Uh, and so for folks that want more space but might be in a challenging price point, the North Valleys area of Reno is where there's just a lot more opportunity. So kind of main part of Reno is right here, and then we go up 395 about 20 minutes into Cold Springs. This is kind of as far out west in Reno in this neighborhood. So this neighborhood, a lot of the homes they started building, and I think around 01, 02, and then they're still building out here in
What is
Woodland
the
Village.
yard size like for a house like that for that price? I know here it's
Uh,
like, for certain newer builds or what, just different houses, it's like, oh yeah, but you have like, 5 feet and then there's your yard. So
yeah,
I
so this
don't,
is
that's
about
just
a,
something.
a fifth of an acre. So let me see if I can
Oh,
get
okay.
a uh, the drone shot too, you'll be able to see kind of the yards of so here's the backyard on this one.
Oh,
They
that's a
have
good
a
size.
patio, but yeah, and so this is pretty typical. I'd say this size yard is really tough to get, for example, in South Reno. South Reno, this home is going to be 575 with a smaller yard. Whereas out
Oh,
here you can pay 450 for it.
yeah.
And so you can kind of see in this neighborhood, it's just full of cul-de-sacs too, which is kind of nice.
Mhm.
When we were actually taking these pictures, there were kids all running around here in the cul-de-sac. We had to get them cropped out. But part of me was like, oh, it's kind of funny. And so this is just a good example of when you do have a more challenging price point. Um, exploring some other neighborhoods can definitely
Yeah.
expand your options.
That's super helpful to see the pictures and kind of what you can get. I think it's opens my eyes for sure.
Yeah, and in
Let's
terms of like
see.
the interior too, like this home,
Oh
like
yeah,
it's got the
sure.
best kitchen. So this is like
Oh, my.
this is, the seller's like favorite part about this home. Just all the space and whatnot that you have. And so I think a lot of times buyers don't see that you could get this kind of entertainer's dream type kitchen. If we just expand our neighborhoods that we're looking.
Yeah. Yeah. Because sometimes with buyers, you either have to, yeah, go further out or lower your criteria, lessen, what you're looking for, your must-haves to be able to be in a certain area. So, and then
So
tell me, I guess, is there a common misconception about Reno that you want to share?
I'd say the biggest thing and going to all our Keller Williams conventions is where I learn what they are, right? Because we're just all these agents trying to learn everybody's place. And they go, oh, Reno, oh, okay, so Vegas. And then I
Yeah.
get my soapbox out on why
I
we
think that
are.
too. And I'm like,
I
I think
know.
about that. Like I somehow, even though I'm in California right next door,
Yeah.
it's like,
I feel like the farther east somebody lives, the closer they think Reno and Vegas are. Like
mhm.
that's been my conclusion. But it's like a 7 hour drive, hour and a half flight.
Wow. Yeah.
And while Reno, we do have the casinos and we do have a lot of that like tourism and hospitality industry. There's just so much more to it being such like an outdoorsy town. And it's just that smaller town feel that um it just doesn't feel like Vegas at all. Maybe if you're like standing in one casino, but all of ours are so much smaller, it's just not the same. And so that like being a mini Vegas to me, it just like it doesn't quite compute when I think about my life here in Reno. So
Yeah. You'll have to do a reel on that, because I think like
I
if that
know
isn't
I needed to
misconceptions,
write
like let
down.
me
I
tell
like
you.
yes, I and I like feel so passionately because I just love this town so much that it
Mhm.
like gets me all riled up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so funny. And then let's say like what are the best if I was going to come, spend the weekend there or check out your town, what are the best like coffee shop, night out spot, restaurant, or just anything that you say if you come here you have to visit this place?
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with my favorite restaurant. So Dopo is a Italian like pizza and pasta restaurant. They recently had to like move and get a bigger location because they were always so packed. That is hands down my favorite restaurant in Reno right now. I find myself there like every other week for dinner. Just because I mean, the food is so great, their drinks, the vibe, everyone that works there is always just like so happy. It's just such a positive feel from even just the servers. And they've got just a beautiful patio with the fire pits and the string lights. And even though you're kind of in the heart of downtown, it's kind of got like some landscaping that you do feel like you're in this like quiet, private setting. And
Is it
so
Dopo, Dopo?
COPO,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
When I have like maybe relocation clients that are like trying to like learn what are the great spots to go to, like I've got a whole stack of like Dopo gift cards and a couple others to put in some of their gifts as places they like have to try. I feel like I never leave there not having like at least split a bottle of wine with whoever I'm with too, because we're sitting there for so long.
Yeah.
That's my favorite spot. Um, Probably a close second is called Arario's, and it is a Korean fusion restaurant. And it is, I'm like not really a foodie. I'm not very critical. I don't explore as much as I should or want to, but it is the most flavorful menu I've ever had. So just like bulgogi bowls, and they even got like poke bowls and just their wings as the appetizers. Um, I just absolutely love that place. And it's in a really cool part of Midtown because right below it is a tap room called Pinion. And across from it, it's some of the best bars too. We've got like Death and Taxes there, which kind of like gives you a moody, almost speakeasy type vibe. But it's just in a location where you have so many options just on this one little street. So, and I think a highly underrated thing, or it just kind of captures like how easy it is to like get around Reno and whatnot. It's just like you go nearby and you park for free and you go out on the town. Like I hear friends that live in bigger cities or whatnot, it's a whole thing. And I feel like it's just so easy to drive 10 minutes from my house, park for free downtown, and have all these options. So it just feels very easy.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, the parking thing is a pain. Even here in Sacramento, it's like they didn't used to charge, I think, on weekends or after a certain time, and now it's like they charge. It's stressful trying to go
Yeah, and
downtown.
I like hear that sentiment, and sometimes I'll just be like pulling up to go to Dopo, and I'm like, cool, I just get to like park free, go to my favorite spot. Like it's easy, and I feel like that is because it's still relatively small.
Yeah, the bigger it gets, yeah, the harder.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. Do you have any other like iconic spots you can show us photos of for Reno?
Oh, I mean, my favorite hiking spot is called Mayberry Park. Let's see if I can pull one up. This is also where a lot of people float the river in the summer, and this is kind of where you start and you go from Mayberry Park down the Truckee to downtown Reno. Kind of Mayberry Park to Idlewild Park is a very common float. But this park. It just goes on for forever, and there's some trails in the back. I'm trying to like find I have so many on my phone, but I was trying to find some pictures. Which I can't at the moment. But I
That's
call it
okay.
like I feel like I'm in Narnia. It's just this mountainous with the greenery and the sagebrush that like goes on for forever. And that's where I go to take my dog off leash. If I just want to like let him run, he's like running throughout these wheat fields and whatnot. I always recommend like if you need to just go on a quiet walk, I'm always astounded that this trail is not full of people and their dogs. Where you just have so much room to roam. And so I always tell people you got to go hiking at Mayberry Park, or it's more of a walk. But
Yeah.
that's my
Wow.
go-to spot with the dog.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so lastly, we'll just wrap up with, why did you choose Reno?
Yeah, great question. It was a little bit of a leap of faith and on a whim. I knew I wanted to move. I was done where I was at, but I had no idea where to go next. Um, Thankfully, my best friend was here for grad school at the time. I had visited once, and she had visited me at one point and came back to Reno. And the more I thought about Reno being 2 hours from my family in Sacramento, that's so nice to be, close enough to go see them all the time, but be in this community that's like close to Tahoe. The job market had everything that I was looking for in the previous place I lived, and this was before real estate. Um, and it was a little bit of a leap of faith, but as soon as I got here, I had truly like felt at home and like found my community. And now I really can't imagine being anywhere else. Being able to go to my CrossFit gym every day, go to my slow pitch softball team on Friday nights, and go with that crew and just have all of the things I like to do in this like smaller area. That's just so beautiful. Drive around to work and like look at the mountains all the time. Make sure I don't take those for granted. Um, it just feels like home. Like it's got everything I need. And anything I want to get to is close by. If I want to go see my family in Sac, if I want to go to Tahoe, if I want to get out in the desert in the middle of nowhere, or if I want to get up in the mountains, it's really all there. And so to me, I mean, it's not so much hidden anymore. Um, Especially if you talk to people that have grown up here and have seen how much it's changed in the last like 10 to 15 years. But even in the last, 8 years I've been here, it's gotten a lot. um, bigger and more people learning how awesome of a place it is to be. But
Yeah, well, awesome. Thank you for sharing everything you did. I learned a lot, and I hope our viewers did too. Where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
yeah, so my Instagram is just at Yvonne Drabin. And then my personal Facebook, I do a lot more than there on my business one. And then yeah, I'm sure wherever we post this, we'll get my contact info. I love introducing people to the town, and so folks relocating from out of town have been some of my favorite experiences being in real estate. And so yeah, I would love to connect with folks wanting to learn more about Reno.
Perfect. And yeah, our followers may not know, but being in real estate, so I'm in the Sacramento market,
Yeah.
Yvonne's in the Reno market. Just because we sell here doesn't mean we can't help you with Reno because we do have awesome connections like Yvonne, and other awesome agents across the country and even out of the country that can help you when you're thinking of
Mhm.
planning a move and you need a resource. So feel free to reach out to us and we can connect you. But thank you so much, Yvonne, for
Yeah.
being here today and
Yeah.
chatting with me. This was really fun.
Yeah. Awesome. All right.
Okay.
I'll see you
Take
later,
care.
Jessica.
Bye.